Level 1. Ingredient Handler. You don't enter the energy drink factory through the clean front lobby. You enter through the receiving bay, where the floor smells like cold metal, cardboard, and something sweet leaking from sealed drums you are not allowed to open. Before the drink becomes a bright can in a convenience store fridge, before someone cracks it open during a night drive, a gym session, or a long gaming session, it arrives here as ingredients, packaging, and pressure. Pallets of empty aluminum cans sit stacked higher than your shoulders. Drums of syrup base wait beside containers of flavoring, sweeteners, acids, color components, and carefully controlled caffeine ingredients. CO2 cylinders stand chained in place. Labels, cartons, shrink wrap, and trays fill the staging area. Your first job is simple: move, scan, check, separate, and stage. But simple does not mean safe from mistakes. One wrong pallet sent forward can slow the line. One damaged box of cans can create jams later. One mislabeled ingredient can force supervisors to stop and trace everything before it enters production. The forklift beeps behind you. Plastic wrap snaps under your gloves. A scanner chirps in your hand as you match codes that feel meaningless at first, until you realize every code is a promise the factory depends on. Outside, the customer only sees energy, speed, focus, bright color, cold carbonation, a can that feels alive in the hand. Here at the bottom, energy begins as weight, inventory, metal, syrup, and caution. You're not making the drink yet. You're protecting the first gate of the system. And as another pallet of empty cans rolls toward the production floor, you ask yourself, how many people stand behind one can of energy? Level 2. Can line worker now. You stand beside the can line, where the factory stops feeling like a warehouse and starts moving faster than your body wants to follow. Empty aluminum cans slide, rattle, and spin through narrow rails under bright white lights. Thousands of identical shells waiting to become something people will later call energy. The sound is constant: metal tapping metal, belts humming, air jets snapping, machines pulling cans forward with a rhythm that does not slow down for confusion, fatigue, or hesitation. Your role is to keep the flow clean. You watch for dented cans, tilted cans, jams, spacing problems, and anything that could break the movement before the filling stage. At level 1, a mistake could be held at the receiving bay. Here, a mistake moves. It travels with the line. One damaged can can wedge itself in the wrong place. One small jam can create a chain reaction of noise, alarms, stopped belts, and workers turning toward you. You learn to look ahead instead of looking only at what is in front of your hands. The cans move so quickly they almost stop looking like objects and start looking like a silver current. Outside, someone will grab one from a fridge without thinking about the speed required to put it there. Inside, you are learning that the product's first real shape is not the liquid. It is the container that must survive pressure, speed, filling, sealing, boxing, shipping, and finally the hand of the customer. Your shoulders tense every time the line stutters. A supervisor points toward a crooked section near the guide rail, and you move before the alarm finishes. You clear the problem, restart the flow, and the silver stream begins again. The factory does not thank you. It only keeps moving. And once you learn how to keep up with the cans, they move you closer to the part where energy itself is measured, mixed, and made. Level 3. Mixing Operator. At level 3, you move away from the empty cans and step into the mixing area, where the drink begins to become more than metal and branding. The room is filled with stainless steel tanks, thick hoses, sealed ingredient lines, control panels, and a sweet chemical smell that hangs in the air like syrup under pressure. This is where water, flavor base, sweeteners, acids, color components, carbonation planning, and controlled caffeine ingredients begin turning into the liquid people will later associate with focus, speed, and staying awake. Your role is not to invent the formula. Your role is to help protect it. You check batch sheets, confirm ingredient staging, monitor tank levels, watch timing, and follow instructions that leave no space for guessing. At level 2, you learn the factory's rhythm through the movement of cans. Here you learn that the product's identity is hidden in measurement. A little too much flavor base and the drink tastes heavy. Too little and it feels weak. A wrong sequence can create delays. A missed check can force the batch to be held before it ever reaches the filling line. Nobody here talks about energy like a slogan. They talk about consistency, flow, temperature, timing, and whether the batch is inside the expected range. You stand near the control panel, watching numbers change while the tank vibrates faintly behind you. Somewhere outside, a customer will think the drink works because it feels sharp, cold, sweet, and intense. But inside this room, that feeling is built slowly through controlled liquid, hidden ratios, and people afraid of being the reason the next batch gets questioned. When the sample is pulled and sent forward, you realize the next level will be even faster. Because once the drink is mixed, the factory has to trap it inside a can before the entire system loses rhythm. Level 4, Filling Technician. At level 4, the drink meets the can and the factory becomes louder, wetter, and more unforgiving. You stand near the filling line as empty aluminum cans rush forward in perfect rows, disappear beneath stainless steel heads, and come out heavier, colder, and alive with pressure. The air smells sweet and metallic. A faint mist hangs near the machines. The floor reflects white light in thin, wet patches, and every surface seems to vibrate with speed. Your role is to watch the filling system, check flow, monitor fill levels, observe pressure behavior, and react when the rhythm breaks. At level 3, the drink was still hidden inside tanks and numbers. Here it becomes a physical product moving too fast for hesitation. A can that is underfilled can fail inspection. A can that is overfilled can create waste and mess. A sealing problem can lead to leaks. A pressure issue can turn one small defect into a line full of rejected cans. You learn to read tiny signs, foam where it should not be, a strange sound near the seamer, a slightly uneven row, an alarm that starts as a small beep before the whole crew turns. Nobody has time for long explanations. A technician points, you move. The line slows, then stops, and the sudden silence feels wrong, almost heavier than the noise. Every paused second means cans are not being filled, orders are not moving, and someone above the floor is watching the numbers fall behind. When the line starts again, the cans surge forward as if nothing happened. But you feel different. You understand that the most exciting part of the product, the crack, the fizz, the cold rush, depends on a place where pressure is controlled with fear and precision. And once you can keep the drink inside the can, the next job is to decide whether that can is good enough to leave the factory. Level 5, Quality Inspector. At level 5, you leave the speed of the filling line and step into the place where the factory proves whether that speed can be trusted. The quality area is cleaner and quieter, but the pressure follows you through the door. Cans are pulled from the line and placed under bright inspection lights. Some are opened for taste. Some are checked for fill level, seal condition, carbonation feel, appearance, codes, and small defects that most customers would never know how to name. Your role is no longer to keep the product moving. Your role is to decide whether it deserves to move at all. At level 4, every second of stoppage felt expensive. Here, every second of hesitation can protect the brand from a bigger mistake. You hold a cold can in your gloved hand and turn it slowly. It looks perfect. Bright, clean, sharp, exactly like something built for speed and confidence. But quality inspection teaches you not to trust the outside too quickly. A beautiful can hide a weak seal. A normal taste can reveal a batch drifting slightly away from the expected profile. A code that looks minor can become a traceability problem. Around you, production wants clearance. Distribution wants finished pallets. Supervisors want the line to keep running. But your job is to ask the uncomfortable question before the customer does. Is this can right? Is this batch stable? Is this promise safe to release? When one sample feels slightly off, the room becomes still. No dramatic alarm sounds, but everyone knows what your note can mean. A hold, a delay, a conversation nobody wants. You understand that quality is not there to slow the factory down. It is there to stop pressure from escaping into the market. And once you learn how to question the product, they move you toward the machines that decide whether the factory can keep breathing. Level 6, Maintenance Technician. At Level 6, the machines stop being background noise and become the thing everyone depends on. You carry tools now, not just gloves and checklists. The filling line, seamer, conveyors, sensors, air jets, pumps, and pressure systems all have their own moods, their own sounds, and their own ways of warning you before something fails. The first time the alarm hits, the whole floor changes. Cans stop moving. Operators step back. A red light flashes near the filling section. The rhythm that once felt overwhelming disappears, and the silence underneath it feels even worse. Your role is to find the problem fast without pretending speed is more important than safety. At Level 5, you learned how to question the product. Here you learn how fragile the system is that makes the product possible. A loose guide rail can create jams. A worn part can throw cans out of alignment. A sensor reading wrong can reject good cans or let bad ones pass. A pressure problem can ripple from one station to the next before anyone fully understands where it began. People are watching you now. The line workers want to restart. The supervisor wants an estimate. Quality wants to know whether product should be held. Every minute feels expensive, but one rushed repair can become a bigger failure later. You kneel beside the machine, feeling dampness from the floor through your work pants, smelling metal, sanitizer, and sweet liquid residue as you check the fault. When the line finally starts again, the cans begin moving, like a silver river returning to life. Nobody outside the factory will ever know your name, but without people like you, the energy drink never reaches the fridge. And once you understand how to keep the machines alive, the next level asks whether you can keep the people, the schedule, and the pressure alive too. Level 7. Production Supervisor. At Level 7, the factory no longer comes to you as one machine, one station, or one problem. It comes to you all at once. You stand on the production floor with a radio on your belt, a schedule in your hand, and the sound of cans, pumps, conveyors, forklifts, and people moving around you like a storm that expects you to stay calm. The ingredient area is waiting for confirmation. The mixing room is preparing the next batch. The filling line wants to know if it can speed up. Quality is holding a small sample for review. Maintenance says one part should be checked before the next long run. A newer worker looks lost near the can line, and an experienced one looks tired enough to make a mistake. At Level 6, you learn that machines can stop the factory in seconds. Here you learn that people can break under pressure long before the machines do. Your role is to keep the shift moving, but also to decide what kind of movement is worth protecting. If you push too fast, quality may suffer. If you slow down, the schedule slips. If you ignore a warning, the line may fail harder later. If you protect one worker, someone above you may ask why the numbers dropped. You are not above the system. You are trapped in the center of it. When a minor issue appears near packaging, you choose to pause long enough to inspect it. Some workers look relieved, others look at the clock. Nobody says thank you because every decision costs someone something. By the end of the shift, you realize leadership is not the absence of pressure. It is becoming the place where pressure gathers. And once you can manage one shift, the next question becomes bigger. Can you carry the weight of the entire factory? Level 8. Plant Manager. At Level 8, you no longer walk into the factory as someone assigned to a section. You walk in as the person responsible for the whole building. From the office window above the floor, the energy drink line looks almost clean and simple. Cans moving, tanks feeding, pallets forming, trucks waiting. But you know better now. You can hear problems before the reports arrive. A filling slowdown is not just a machine issue. It can affect labor hours, delivery targets, warehouse space, customer orders, and the numbers that reach corporate by the end of the week. Your role is to manage output, safety, staffing, audits, costs, maintenance schedules, quality performance, energy use, and the constant pressure to make the factory look smooth even when every department is fighting its own quiet battle. At Level 7, you carried one shift. Here you carry every shift, including the mistakes made when you are not standing on the floor. A large retailer wants the order on time. Finance wants waste reduced. Quality wants stricter holds. Maintenance wants downtime before something fails. Supervisors want more people. Corporate wants better efficiency. And behind all of it, the customer still expects every can to taste exactly the same. You sit in meetings where people talk about percentages, downtime, throughput, and cost per case. But you remember what those words feel like in a worker's body. A percentage can mean someone running between stations. Downtime can mean a technician kneeling on a wet floor. Efficiency can mean a supervisor asking tired people to move faster. That is what makes this level heavy. You are no longer allowed to see only one side. If the factory misses targets, your name is attached. If quality fails, your name is attached. If safety is ignored, your name is attached. You do not touch every can anymore, but every can can still come back to you. And once you understand that even a plant manager is only one piece of a larger machine, the next level pulls you beyond the factory walls, into the world of warehouses, trucks, retailers, and demand that never stops moving. Level 9. Distribution Executive. At level 9, the factory becomes only the beginning of the race. You now look at the energy drink through pallets, warehouses, truck schedules, retail orders, convenience store shelves, gym coolers, gas station fridges, and regional demand charts that change faster than the production floor ever did. The cans may be filled, sealed, inspected, and packed, but they are not valuable until they appear in the right place at the right time. Your role is to move finished product through the system without letting distance break the promise. At level 8, you carried the factory. Here you carry the movement after the factory, where one late truck can leave shelves empty and one bad forecast can flood the wrong warehouse with the wrong flavor. A marketing campaign launches and suddenly one region wants more cases than planned. A retailer asks for an urgent restock. A warehouse is full. A truck is delayed. A pallet arrives damaged. A fast-selling flavor disappears from gym fridges while another flavor sits untouched in storage. Nobody outside sees this level. They only notice when the drink is missing. You stare at route maps, inventory dashboards, customer orders, and delivery windows, realizing that distribution is not just transportation. It is timing under pressure. Energy drinks are sold in moments, before work, before training, before a long drive, before a night shift. If the can is not there in that moment, the brand loses more than a sale. It loses the habit it worked so hard to build. You remember the line workers, the filler, the lab, the supervisors, the plant floor, and now all of that labor is stacked on pallets, waiting for your decisions to move it. As trucks pull away from the dock, you understand that a product built around speed still depends on a slower truth. Every can must survive the long road between the factory and the hand that reaches for it. And at the final level, you stop moving cans through the system and start deciding what the system should make people believe. Level 10. Energy drink, brand owner. At level 10, the factory noise is gone, but the pressure is still there. It has simply changed shape. You sit in a bright boardroom with sample cans on the table, sales reports on the screen, customer data in one folder, production costs in another, and campaign ideas built around speed, focus, intensity, and control. At level 9, you learned that every can has to reach the right place at the right moment. Here you decide what that moment is supposed to mean. Your role is no longer to move ingredients, watch cans, protect formulas, fix machines, manage shifts, run the plant, or route trucks. Your role is to decide what the brand promises to the world. Is it energy for athletes, focus for students, fuel for gamers, a companion for night drivers, a symbol of ambition, a small can that tells people they can push harder than their body wants to? Around the table, people speak in careful business language: pricing, positioning, market share, retail velocity, reformulation, sponsorship, margin, expansion. But behind each word, you now see the ladder you climbed. You remember the ingredient handler moving syrup drums and empty cans before sunrise. You remember the can line worker chasing the silver stream. You remember the mixing operator watching hidden measurements turn into flavor and caffeine. You remember the filling technician controlling pressure inside every can. You remember the quality inspector asking whether the product deserved to leave. You remember the maintenance technician bringing a silent line back to life. You remember the production supervisor carrying the weight of one shift. You remember the plant manager responsible for the whole building. You remember the distribution executive racing against empty shelves and late trucks. Now every one of those levels reaches your desk. If you cut costs too hard, the factory feels it. If you push growth too fast, distribution feels it. If you change the formula, quality feels it. If you sell the promise too aggressively, customers feel it. The can in front of you looks small, bright, and simple. That is what makes it powerful. It hides the labor, the machines, the timing, the risk, and the people behind a single cold object someone can open with one finger. You began at the bottom where energy was metal, syrup, pallets, and codes. You end at the top where energy becomes a story, a strategy, and a responsibility. The product is never just a drink. It is pressure compressed into a can, sold as a feeling. So when the next campaign asks you to promise more speed, more focus, more power, you know the real question is not whether people will buy it. The question is who carries the weight of that promise before the can reaches their hand. If you want to see another hidden system from the bottom to the top, comment which factory or global brand we should enter next.